Gwail Nistralacha, O Helixon, Quinasatla Tiakaya, Sequeltanat, Sanasnat, Chochlamisan. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for coming to the Whatcom Peace Justice Center event today and to celebrate the International Day of Peace. It's just a beautiful thing to see everybody here celebrating this day and this cause and this wonderful organization. So I'm going to go ahead and open up with a poem. My name is Rena Priest. I'm a member of the Lummi Nation, and I was invited here today to share a poem. I served a 2-year term as Washington State's 6th Poet Laureate, and I was, thank you. Thank you so much. And I was the first Indigenous person to hold this position in Washington State. So thank you. And I'd just like to open with a quote from UNESCO's, I'll just say I spent a month at UNESCO Biosphere Reserve at Cascade Head in Oregon, and it was really beautiful. And I wanted to learn a little bit more about how the Biosphere Reserve and that whole network came to be, because there were 431 in Washington, or in the United States and all over the world. And I was looking through their constitution, and there's this beautiful quote. It says, "Since wars begin in the minds of men and women, it is in the minds of men and women that the defenses of peace must be constructed." And I thought that was pretty powerful and a lot to consider. And so the poem that I'm going to share with you talks a little bit about that. There's a word in the chasm that describes good feelings. I'm trying to learn my native language, and so I've gone to my teachers and I've asked, how do you say good feelings? And they say it's eichhutchning. And that's described to me as when there's no conflict between what you think and what you feel. So when your heart and your mind are in balance, that's eichhutchning. And when you make a decision with people, that should be how everyone is. That's the state of mind that you're in. And so from there, good, beautiful things can come about. And so the poem that I'll share is inspired by a song that was composed and arranged by my friend Delbert Anderson. He's a trumpet player from Shiprock, Dene. Gonna adjust that a little bit. And he wrote it for a landscape located in Aztec, New Mexico called the Ark. And underneath the Ark, there's a little dried up wash. And it probably only goes about 20 or 30 feet, but it's perfect. It's untouched. There are no footprints, bushes, or leaves on it, and it's just a flat surface, and it's perfectly straight. So when Delbert brought a picture of the Ark to the elders and asked them to tell him about it, his elders told him that this stream, this old wash in the desert, is called the Heart Passage. And that name goes back to how when the human is born, we're perfect. Everyone is perfect at the very beginning. But when the world gets a hold of us, that's when we start to develop different characters and stresses and all these different things. We forget eichhutchning, we fall out of balance, we lose those good feelings. So the heart passage is something that people need to get back to when things get too crazy. And so I urge us all to remember what the elders told Delbert, that we're all perfect human beings inside. And so this is the poem that I wrote inspired by his song, Heart Passage. On the path we walk towards purpose, if we feel we've lost our way, if our confidence deserts us and we fear we've gone astray, when the road stretched out before us is a challenging terrain, this is when we search our hearts for a passage back to grace. Our heart has wisdom to impart if we are true and brave, and though the night is dark, there is always a new day. When every door we try is locked and the view out every window is of that lonely road we walked, full of worry, want, and woe. When the stream of life within is blocked by living in our sorrow, This is when we search our heart for a passage to tomorrow. Our heart has wisdom to impart if we are true to what we feel. Yes, indeed, the night is dark, but our heart has answers to reveal. It says living is a simple art when we follow our true, perfect being, and will not stumble in the dark when we let our hearts do all the seeing. Thank you. So I share that poem also because September is National Suicide Awareness Month, and it goes back to that feeling of being out of balance and losing that eye-catching. And when you are guided by your heart and trying to find your way into the good feeling, then it's hard to do harm to others. It's hard to not have peace. You have peace innately when you're in that state. You have justice. And so I just wanted to thank you all for being here to share this cause today. Haishka.
Thank you. Obrigada. And Haishka to both Rina and Daniel Holmes, DJ Yugwamala. Your art makes words seem insufficient. And I'm just so honored to have known both of you. Fun fact, I met Daniel Holmes through Althea, her mom, when he was just 13? A long time ago. And Rina also I had the honor to have Rina in our board of directors during the pandemic. Thank you for all the work and guidance that both of you offer to our community. That's really powerful. Thank you. My name is Aline Prata. I am a Brazilian immigrant. I am a salsa dancer. I'm also the director of the Whatcom Peace Justice Center. Woo! And I'm here to welcome and greet you, all of you. This is a full room, and we're so grateful for this beautiful turnout to the 21st International Day of Peace celebration. We are honoring the theme called Sowing Hope and Cultivating Peace, which Josh, my board member and historian in charge, will help situate for all of you and contextualize in a few minutes. But I just want to thank everyone for being here and thank Structures for hosting us. Thanks, Jackie. Give it up for Jackie, by the way. Structures is one of the best breweries in Washington State, and we're so lucky to have them host this all-ages event for the second time in a row. They're also joining us for the first time for the promotion of Drink and Dine for Peace, where several partners in the community, including Camber, Brandy Wine, Ambo, and Structures are donating a portion of their sales to the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center. For those of you who are new to the Peace and Justice Center's work, I encourage you to check in with our volunteers, which are in the front. Ask them about how they got involved and how we work, and maybe there is a role for you here. We're also all about sharing power, so there's many wonderful organizations present here today who you can talk to either in our info fair booth and also here with Children of the Setting Sun Productions. Thank you guys for being here. Let's give it up for all the grassroots groups in town doing amazing work. The center is just a small drop in the bucket of the peace and social justice ecosystem of work that exists in our town and in our county. And we are honored to be side by side with you, building collective power to undo violence and systemic harm.
Thank you all very much. So this year's theme is Sowing Hope, Cultivating Peace. And there's an old proverb that says, anybody who plants a seed knows hope. right? Because we put those seeds in the ground without a guarantee that they're going to sprout anything that we can sow, that we can harvest, right? But we keep planting them. And so this year we really drew inspiration from a poem from Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish. And in his poem, he talks about this process of sowing hope and cultivating peace. And this is really a moment where we can turn to and learn a lot from Palestinian artists and Palestinian activists and those who have survived the unimaginable, especially over this past year, and give us really inspiration for thinking about how we continue to dig into that soil, put those seeds in, and believe that next time around something beautiful is going to sprout. No matter how hard this last season was, we keep digging, we keep cultivating, and we keep sowing that hope when it comes back around. And so this year is really about resilience in the face of so much destruction. And we can think about that just on the ground we're standing here, right? Right here at the mouth of Whatcom Creek. And we're familiar with that word Whatcom, but we don't often think about how that comes from a Coast Salish, a Lochtamish word for these noisy waters. And to think about how this is a place that Coast Salish people have been for thousands and thousands of years, and to think about what we can learn from them in terms of, again, resilience, survivance in the face of this impossible loss and in the face of this colonial occupation. So we want to be thinking about today as we're celebrating and we're thinking about all we've accomplished and all we want to accomplish. We also want to think about how our enjoyment here is sometimes predicated on other people being displaced and other people suffering. So we're going to try to keep the mood, the tone light and positive, but we know that we're doing this in really troubled times, right? All over the world, militarization is on the advance, and so that's why we are working to get ahead of it, not just react to it, but stop it and to build resilient communities that can demilitarize, decolonize, and move us towards a much brighter future. So thank you all for being here today, for being part of it. Why don't you give yourselves a round of applause for coming out? The other thing I will mention is that today is a fundraiser. It's a benefit for the center. It is one of the ways that we keep our office down on Bay Street. It's one of the ways that we keep this wonderful person employed as our executive director. And so we really encourage you to donate, and there are a couple different ways you can do it. You can see there are QR codes, so you can just go to the website and donate. But if you check in at that back table with Arum and Mateo, who are jumping up right now, if you check in there and donate there, you will get tickets to our raffle. We're going to do one drawing halfway through the event and one at the end. And then all along there, you can see all our awesome silent auction items. I would like to introduce this year's Rosemary and Howard Harris Lifetime Peacemaker Awards. Rosemary and Howard Harris began the Whatcom Bellingham Peace Vigil downtown in the 1960s as a protest against U.S. militarism in Vietnam. And their inspiring example, a peace vigil that still meets every Friday to this very month, and many of you have been at, led to us offering this award to honor a lifetime of work. And this year's honorees, Michelle and Michael Vendiola, have really dedicated 2 lifetimes to this work. They met here in Bellingham at Sowing Hope. All right, yeah. They met here in Bellingham at Sowing High in 1984. And for me, that really strikes me because that's the year I was born. So as we're talking about a lifetime, well, my entire life, Michelle and Michael, long before I met them, were doing the work of trying to advocate for indigenous youth, to try to advocate for the Salish Sea, and try to advocate for changes in these systems that are harming both indigenous youth and the Salish Sea. They have been involved in countless efforts to, again, lift up indigenous youth, to protect the environment, and to address the ways that indigenous people are set up by our colonial systems to not thrive in this world. They've been involved in a number of formal educational efforts, working in service learning as the director for Native Education for the Office of the Superintendent for Public Instruction. Michael is currently the education director for the Swinomish tribe, and they've done an incredible amount, again, all the way from back when they were students through their education, and now as educators and as leaders in our community. The work they do never ended at the classroom door or at the gates of campus. They're also people who've been very involved in community organizing. Many of you likely participated in actions they organized around the No Dapple campaign or Red Line Salish Sea, perhaps the Bellingham Racial Justice Coalition, or maybe you just know them in a more fun way. Maybe you've seen Michael DJ. He's also a much better MC than I am, and so you may have been at some events where he kept the crowd interested and kept them smiling. They are such incredible leaders in our community, again, who demonstrate that long-term commitment, that sustained engagement that's really meaningful, and it's something that we want to honor and often goes unnoticed. Michael and Michelle could not be here today because they're visiting Michelle's home community in Nevada. But we have a very special guest here in order to accept the award on their behalf. And so I'm going to ask you to join me in giving a big, warm round of applause for accepting the award on behalf of Michelle and Michael, Melchor Vendiola.
Hello, my name is Melchor Vendiola. My parents are Michael and Michelle. I'll be accepting their award on their behalf, the recipients. They had a couple words that they wanted to have read. My whole life, I can remember my parents doing for others, being involved in social justice, teaching about inequalities, and standing up for what matters. They taught me to question the system and to organize as a united front, making the change that we need in the world. I am very honored to be able to be here and accept the award on their behalf. They're traveling back in my mom's tribal homeland, and they regret they're unable to be here today. However, here's some words that they wanted to share with you. First, a big haishka to the Whatcom Peace Justice Center for selecting us for their award. We were so very honored and appreciate the gratitude for our activism. Our social justice work pushes boundaries, and that makes folks feel uncomfortable at times. We challenge the status quo, and as a result, we have faced criticism and obstacles. But as many as you know from experience, this kind of work is not just for us. We do it as caretakers for this land, for the water and the air, for the youth and the future generations, and to strengthen the community. Second, to our comrades and friends, thanks for great moments. We taught, made, marched, sat, spoke, wrote, strategized, organized, and blocked. We did and will do again. Third, we know if we were there, we'd be looking out into the audience, and we would see so many familiar faces, friends and family, countless supporters from our over the years and who we love and respect. Thank you for being here. Last but not least, we have to thank our small family, our son Melchor, our daughter Michaela. They tagged along with us for countless hours and actions. They have begun to carry the torches in their own way. And we have especially thank Michaela's daughter, our darling granddaughter, Aviana. She's the focus of so much of our teachings now, and she teaches us every day. There's a bit of irony in receiving this award tonight from the Peace and Justice Center, because many years ago, we stood together with our Black Student Union brothers and sisters chanting, "No justice, no peace," following the Rodney King assault. Remember, there is no peace without justice. Keep up the good work, peacekeepers. Those are the words from my parents. I'm happy to see so many people out here who know my parents, and they came out to see them be honored in this way. And I will now accept the cash prize on their behalf. I'm just kidding. Thank you for taking the time out of your life to spend here at this event. I know you could have chosen to be anywhere else. I hope you all have a wonderful time. And if able, choose to support the WPJC with a donation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Melchor, for such a heartwarming speech.
Let's hear it again from Melchor and for this year's Lifetime Peacemaker Award winners.
Yeah, I want to say that while we're trying to keep the mood light, war, militarism, and oppression are not light themes. And I think that Michael and Michelle were wonderful guides when I first came to town in introducing me to organizing here and honoring the people who have been doing this work for much longer, as I was just in a peripheral role. So I'm really grateful for their work because it builds that inherent need for solidarity and for being comfortable with the discomfort that comes in acknowledging how we're implicated in settler colonialism here. So I'm really grateful for their work, and I think that that also inspired the theme and the parallels that we're making between Palestinian local indigenous Coast Salish struggles and also international and queer liberation, because those are all interconnected, and we need to be talking about that. So thank you. And you know, for those of you who have been around the center for a really long time, you will know the person who I'm about to introduce. She will introduce the next awardee for this year's event, the Youth Awardee. And Anissa Had has been the coordinator for Alternatives to Military Service, which is our program that tables in all the high schools in Whatcom County, offering different ways that youth can serve their community that don't include feeding the war machine, polluting the earth, and oppressing other BIPOC folks around the globe. She is a Muslim community member, a mother, and she was around when decades ago so much was going on in the inception of the Whatcom Peace Justice Center in the context of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And also later, she's experienced some of the, so much of the oppression that we try to combat in intersectional levels. So as a veteran too, she can speak a lot to heart on why having young people having options about what they want to do with their lives. And I do want to say that Native folks are the most represented folks in our US military from any other demographics in the world. But knowing why they want to serve their community and how, and in ways that can be peaceful, and giving them the option to choose, because that's what we're about, people having self-determination and having the opportunity to live lives free of violence while we continue to dismantle the structural stuff. Anissa, can you please come to stage and introduce Raven? Thank you.
Thank you for the nice introduction. They're very tall. I'm not sure I'll have to stand up straight. So, Whatcom Peace Justice Center has been such an essential part.
Let me help you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Has been such an essential part of my journey as a parent. I'm grateful for the participation it's had in my family, as well as the advocacy opportunities we've had just in our daily activities and the participation that others have given. There have been times when hopefully I've been able to assist others in this community to feel safe, and I can see many faces out here that have helped my daughter and I feel safe, particularly around September 11th when it's not always a Muslim-friendly community. So thank you for the advocacy that community does for us, as well as the opportunity that I have to do for all of you. Through association with the Peace and Justice Center and the Friday Peace Vigil, I had the privilege of knowing Al and Dottie Dale. As one of Dottie's caregivers during her last year with us, I enjoyed getting to know her children. And the conversations they shared with me taught me even more about mentorship as partnership. So it makes it more meaningful that today I get to introduce my former intern, Raven, and present to them the Dottie Dale Youth Peacemaker Award. Raven. I have more to gush on about you. So. Raven. The Dottie Dale Youth Peacemaker Award was established to commemorate the example of lifelong service that Dottie exemplified and to acknowledge youth in our community that are creating their own legacy of action and advocacy. On our website, you can read the biographical information about Raven and discover more about their philosophy for change, but it's best summed up as finish what you start. But today I want to share the personal impact that Raven had on me. As my intern, well, technically the Peace and Justice Center's intern, but I claimed them. As my intern, Raven provided solid input every day about how to get the attention of youth most at risk for military service. They took to heart the idea that a person should only join the military if they're passionate and not desperate. Then Raven encouraged the program to include more information on resources such as housing, job support, and other essential information that helps keep kids out of crisis. Although this internship was my first introduction to Raven, it's not Raven's first introduction to advocacy and activism in our community and even beyond. Raven has worked with Northwest Youth Services. He's advocated for young people facing homelessness and housing insecurity in Bellingham, and recently spoke out in strong defense for 22 North and the necessary supportive services it provides to our community. Like, community activism is not just something that Raven does. Advocacy and support is really who Raven is through and through. When you have a conversation with Raven, they listen. If something's important to you, they remember. And when there's something to learn from a situation, Raven absorbs and expands upon that knowledge and creates solutions, not just talks about the problem. Raven is someone that people go to for support, and it's an honor to be able to acknowledge your work before our community and the things you've done for us. Thank you, Raven.
Hi, everybody. Well, it might be celebrating. It's good to celebrate the small steps, no matter how big they are or what they take on, because the work is never over. I mean, the struggle still goes on no matter what. As soon as we step away from here, we're right back to it. So, on that note, I'm gonna speak something for you guys in a way that is quick and you should be able to digest, hopefully. Eminem kills Dre like South Park does Kenny, trying to fix our world, trying to fix a world our elders broke. I'll run it till I'm 50. Fuck staying in my lane when the cars are gonna crash right into me. Fentanyl killing young bloods, shit's real life, no movie. We all after the booty and all those rubies. Don't forget when you grab some, that you give some to those that are less fortunate. This year, Uncle Sam put the fork in it. Now the homeless have a predicament. Oof. They're getting stepped on and everybody in moccasin. Why have all the men turned to charlatans? Oof. Politicians push genocide to turn the tides. Money is a currency, policy equals robbery, and then raise commodities, and no, probably makes people in the street want to rob at me partially. Everyone's scratching for the lottery while grinding. Teeth, oh, pardon me, as you look into what you see. Hayden, rich people want their seats, but none of their deeds. You might as well keep the receipt, because I'll be scratching into weak, because you are what you seek. We all struggle for meaning. Taunt relics, watch what you embellish, because the end is hellish. So much is success if you have no one to share it with. Swing through like my name was Lazarus, but God is the word I lather with. Fuck with him and you get the ladder sent. Ooh, push for peace, because I'd rather that. Like my man Liam in the back, bringing the end of scarcity, like the reveal of futility in the mist. I'm skillfully a bliss, no hyperbole with a hit or kick. Words may be able to screen a diss or win some riz, but the words I speak now are for those in the mix. Peace is built from bricks, stone walls, battens, and a police and miss. Fame is an illusion to make you tick, but you're gonna run out of power when you fall to 6. Censorship comes up like an open rift. My boss is giving me words like I shop at thrift. What floods out are paper on words that intend to make you shift. Don't tell me what I can and can't say. I won't give you truth like chips and dip. So, and cursing is cursing and dragging is dragging, so close your lips or whip that shit. Yes, I admit I chop at my bit like a stallion. The question is, the white and black at me at war to mix? Everyone wants to sweep their neighbor's porch before their own, so it's really hard to put down the act and treat others as if they were in your home. Time may tell, but that depends on if you're in your zone. So, what do we know, actually? And with that said, no matter who you are or what walk of life you come from right now, there's a humanitarian crisis going on this planet. Everywhere. So awards like this, they're cool, but the threats of war and all that, they don't go away. The work doesn't stop, and I hope that everyone in here gets what I'm saying by that, and we keep pushing together.
And the bag is here. It's yours, sorry. The bag is also yours. It's a fern symbolizing the seeds. Do you guys want to take a photo?
I'll keep this as live as long as possible.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you. Hopefully, I've talked to some of you over at the silent auction table. I am going to talk about why the center is important to me. I'm also going to let you know that you should go over to the silent auction table and look at some stuff. We've got some great stuff over there. I will, if you know me, you know that I'm excited about the WNBA tickets. Hi. But I'm really excited to just talk about the PJC. If you know me, you've heard me talk about the Peace and Justice Center before. And I wanted to say 2 things about it. One, on a personal level, that the work the PJC has done has, as someone, I'm not from Bellingham, I'm from Massachusetts. And when I moved to Bellingham, I had never been here before. And I just sort of was like looking for community, looking for people that I could trust, who would care about me and hold me in this new place. And the PJC is where I found that. And on a very personal level, like, I could just walk into the PJC and see Alini, or at the time, see Nia. Nia's here somewhere. She was the director at the time. And they would ask, how are you? And I knew they meant it. And so on a personal level, that was so important to me. And then the past couple of years, I've gotten to do some volunteer grant writing. And I've learned on a bigger scale how the people of the PJC do that care work beyond the individual. And so every dollar that you donate to the PJC, I wish there's a way that I could tell you, like, one-to-one, here's what's going to happen. But it's so hard to quantify. And that's what I learned in the grant writing, is that so many things happen on a daily basis. I mean, the number of things that Eleni is doing, that board members are doing, there's just no way to actually explain how much happens. We can tell you the programs, Alternatives to Military Service, that Anissa helps run, the TJ Learning Lab the board members started, and now we're in our second cohort of people who are committing to learning how to engage in justice in ways that don't depend on police and the criminal legal system, working together, getting to know our neighbors. And it's just, there really is, as someone who's tried to explain to grantors the work that we do, I make those lists, and then I think there really is no way to tell you what it feels like to be in a community with people who genuinely mean it when they ask, how are you? And they mean that, you individually, and they would mean that for the whole world. And it feels like every day the Peace and Justice Center is working to ask the world, how are you, and what can I do to support you? And I think all the people that are here, you see, like, this is the community that is held, and I couldn't be more grateful. I want to shout out Eleni in particular because I love her so much, and the work that she does. People don't, those of you who are organizers, you know people don't often see the work that you do, and that's not why you do it. You do it because it's what you think is important and what you know is right, but I want you to know that we see it. We see the work that you do, and I am so, so proud to do anything for the Peace and Justice Center. I will do anything and everything for this center, and so if you want to talk more about the center, come talk to me at the silent auction table. Every dollar there will also go to the center, plus you'll get something cool from Bellingham or Seattle, which we're calling local now. We're going to claim them, you know? So thank you so much for being here, and thank you to the board and the folks who work at Peace and Justice Center, and everybody who's worked with them before, because there are former board members and former directors here, and it's lovely to see. Have fun.
Okay, I've written a little blurb here. My name is Beth Gurma. I'm a board member at the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center, and I feel like thank you. I'll take that. The Whatcom Peace and Justice Center came to me at a point in my life where I felt extremely disillusioned with local organizing. I know a lot of us organizers are familiar that a lot of what we do is a lot of losing just compared to when we look at what we're up against. But I feel as a student at Whatcom County, and also just as a person of color in Whatcom County, I think what was so surprising to me was the way in which this town is extremely racially segregated. There's disproportionate violence placed upon Black and Indigenous members of our community, specifically through homelessness or incarceration and other forms of state-sanctioned violence. And I feel like working within the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center, especially within last year's campaign against the extremely regressive jail tax, really felt like it opened up a place for me to combine a lot of the efforts that I was working in. So housing justice efforts, food justice, issues with the criminal injustice system, I felt like all had a place here. And what I really, really love about the Whatcom Peace Justice Center too is it helped me connect all of the things that I was working on as like one big fight, and it does the same for like international and local struggles too. It's been a hub for radical grassroots organizing for decades, and I've only been here for the past couple of years, and yet it feels like I'm part of a collective that has so much momentum and has so much support and love for one another, and that's something that's really, really hard to find in these times. And what I want to say lastly is, as people who are working against the powers that be, they're not trying to give us money. So it would be really awesome for folks here to donate here, but then also continue staying aware about the Peace and Justice Center's happenings, and know that you can always donate throughout the whole year to support these efforts, because we're up against a lot.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matteo Tambrini. I've been on the board of the Peace and Justice Center. I'm going to make a joke and say since time immemorial. It's more like 15 years. And we live in a place, like Beth was saying, where Boeing is just down the road. Boeing, we have one of the largest depots of nuclear weapons in the world in Bremerton. And in the face of that, in the face of what is happening in Palestine, it can feel overwhelming. It's difficult to feel like anything that you do makes a difference. But there is not a question in my mind that without the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center and organizations like it, things in the world would be worse. And we cannot quantify, it's hard to measure the effect of the work that we're doing. We can't name the lives that we have saved, but there is no question in my mind that lives have been saved because of the work that we're doing. When I look at my son down there, who's going to be 2 years old, and he's going to ask me, what did you do at those times? I can say to him with some amount of pride, this was part of my effort. And so I just am encouraging everyone to support the work with whatever you can. It helps us keep the lights on and be a part of the network of resistance against the military-industrial complex and save lives in the process. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Nada Elia, and I'm actually the very latest, most recent member of the board of WPJC. I have only moved to Bellingham a month ago. I have been on the board for a month also, but of course I've been very familiar with the work of the WPJC for a while because I only moved from Everett and I've been already connected with Bellingham. And so for me it was just like an absolute natural when Alina asked me that I would join the board, because this to me was the political home where I needed to be, because I knew, just as Teresa said, you know, coming from somewhere and feeling welcome, feeling genuinely welcome, genuinely understood. I'm Palestinian, and it's like, and I'm not a single issue Palestinian, and that's very important for me. Palestine is an anti-colonial struggle, and I believe in all anti-colonial struggles. Palestine is a feminist struggle, and if you don't understand that, please ask me, because I'm a member of the Palestinian Feminist Collective, but gender justice, reproductive justice. Palestine is an anti-colonial, decolonial, gender rights issue, and all of these are issues that are very interconnected. Anti-militarism, anti-war, anti-colonialism, all of these are issues that the WPJC deals with in so many of the ways that I understand and grasp these to be interconnected. I am both a Palestinian and an immigrant, both. Both means two, no. I'm a Palestinian, I'm an immigrant. I was undocumented for 8 years. I've lived in war. My people are surviving genocide, and that is in no way unique to my experience. And it is that which I love most about WPJC, that they understand the interconnectedness of all of these issues. And so for me, it was absolutely natural that I would join this, but it was also beyond natural that I would join. It was like, I felt welcome, I felt understood, I felt that this could be home for me. And if it wasn't for WPJC, I probably, would have hesitated even more before moving to Bellingham, because it was not an easy decision for me, but WPJC did make it easier. So, and that work is important, again, on the individual level, on the local level, on the regional level, but also on the global level. And it is work that needs a lot of support, and this is the main fundraiser for WPJC. Once a year, the main fundraiser is this. So please donate, and please enjoy all that you're gonna get for your donations. Thank you.